Hello, Luella Morris here. So, in this video, I'm dealing with the third compatibility tool, the third most effective compatibility tool, and that is the MBTI 16 personality types, which happen to be my favorite thing to talk about. Notice it's my favorite thing to talk about, but it's the third tool that I recommend that anybody uses to determine compatibility. And this could mean compatibility with any persons, be it platonic relationships or romantic relationships. Anybody. We're just talking compatibility in general. So I've spoken about the best one I found, which is the theory of the five human types. I've also spoken about the four temperaments and the four quadrants of the brain. And now we're at the MBTI. Now, how do we use the MBTI to determine compatibility? First of all, you have to be aware of your personality type according to the MBTI. And we know there are four different dichotomies in the MBTI from which we determine our personality type. And we, after we've scored ourselves on those one of those four, each of those four categories, we will end up with one of 16 um, types. So the categories are introvert, extrovert, sensing, intuition, feeling, thinking or logic, and perceiving, judging. Now quickly let's determine which one of these are you. So extroverts gain energy from external interactions with people. This means that they do not like too much downtime and too much thinking. It drains their energy. They prefer to be out there interacting with people um, and gaining energy from that. As opposed to introverts who naturally are internally stimulated, they gain energy from the inside out. And by the time they arrive at a social situation, their cup is already half full, so they don't need much external interactions to feel energized. Okay, so you can determine which one you are, be it extrovert or introvert, and make note of your letters as we go on. The next category is sensing and intuition, and this is mainly concerned with how we think about things, how we process information, how we take in information. Do we take in concrete facts and data, anything we can see, feel, hear, touch, taste, smell? Or do we think of things in terms of intuition, that is, patterns and possibilities of what could be, of what already exists? Which one? Are we imaginative, which would be intuitive, or are we concrete thinking, which is sensing? Which one of these do you use more than the other? Make note of that one. And let's continue. The next category would be feeling or thinking. Thinking must be understood as logic. We all think, of course, but they use thinking here to represent logic. So this category describes how we make decisions. Feelers, or people who use feeling for decision making, they step into the situation and consider how everyone feels in order to make the decision. While the thinker or the T type, the logical type, they step out of the situation and make decisions based on what is the most sensible or objective direction to go in. And this excludes how any one person can possibly feel. Okay? That's a very important distinction between the two. Which one of those do you mostly use for decision making, which is your default? And finally, the last dichotomy is the judging perceiving dichotomy. Judging here really describes how you like your surroundings. Judging and perceiving describe how you like your surroundings. How do you order your life? Judgers prefer order, structure, schedules, all these kinds of things. While perceivers prefer spontaneity, freedom, give them space with which to move. Do not tie them down to any one thing. Okay? So, which one of those is your default? And write it down. So, now that you've written down one letter for each category, you should end up with four letters of a possible 16 types, right? So, one of these must be your type. Good. So, how do we use this for compatibility? We use the sensing and intuition category for compatibility. If you're familiar with Myers-Briggs, Carl Jung's theories, socionics, Kersey's temperaments, several theorists have put forward several different formulas for how you can match yourself using the 16 personality types. However, it is not very reliable. I have observed that, of course, the five human types trumps the 16 personality types because there's still differences, individual differences among ESTPs, ENFJs, ISFJs, among individual types. Different persons are matched to different persons, and this is because any two mature people of any type can make it together, can get along together, right? Because compatibility is something highly complex. There are many things that go into it. Okay? However, and that is why, of course, the MBTI is not the best compatibility tool that I found. But if we want to measure compatibility or we want to achieve compatibility in our relationships, we should focus on the sensing intuition dichotomy. That means sensors are most compatible, most comfortable with fellow sensors. Intuitive people are most compatible with intuitive people. Being reason being that they think of things in the same way. So they use the same language and it's easier understood. Not that an intuitive person wouldn't understand a sensor, but rather it is much easier to get along with somebody who thinks of things, processes information in the same way that you do, rather than somebody who you have to explain yourself a lot more to. It's way easier and way more comfortable in relationships with persons who are of your same thinking and processing characteristic. Okay? So, my question to you is what is your type and who are you most compatible